Hi, host Eric here with Talking with Famous People, and I'm pretty excited about this notion that I have right here. It's not any sort of enormous reinvention of anything. It's just I really feel as though it provides me, at least, great clarity on some things, and I hope to share it with you, and hopefully you'll find it useful as well. This, and I'm spending a lot of time on these ridiculous notes of mine, so I know they're not very good, but self world, got two locations, okay? And then you've got four objects in the system, so to speak. But you got four kind of things: space objects, time objects, open systems, closed systems. All right. Now, before we go any further, I have a couple of examples here. One of them is this. I want to look at this little picture, okay? So, if you can just look at that little picture, look at it hard, and then just sort of think about looking at it, and then there you go. Okay. And that's going to be used in a little bit, and I'll explain what I'm doing with that. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is something that's analogous to cognitive functions, or relevant to it, I think, probably. This is my little picture of quantum mechanics, okay? Such as it is. And you'll see here that you've got A, B, the two things. A's got a force vector going this direction. B's got a force vector going that direction. Okay? So, what we know is that those objects, their force vectors, occur in an immediate context, right? That's the closed system. And then here, I think it's not in box A, this is box A, is open systems. Okay? So, in quantum mechanics, you've got this situation, this reality, that we like to think of ourselves outside this box as we're the observer and here's object A. No, we're object A and that's object B. Right? And we have our own force vector even if we think we're just standing still. So we're moving like this. But consciously, we're not able to process understanding motion like that. In the physical world, we're not. Like, I can't understand very well which direction he's going and how fast he's going if I'm running in some different direction at the same time towards or sort of towards him and sort of away from, like, it's going to be really hard for me to gauge anything about him if I'm moving and he's moving. Well, the same sort of thing is true cognitively. So it's my basic position that cognition works just like physics on the quantum level, which is to say the the illusion of non-relational meaning disappears, and we have to understand things through their relations to other things or not at all. So, such that at the quantum level, when we get rid of all the distractions, we note that we can determine exactly where a given object is, but the more exact we are on where it is, the less we're going to know about where it's going and its force vector. Necessarily, the things are inverses of each other. Well, so too on the cognitive level is my thinking here. Um, Given this notion of motion and who's standing still, right? There's four possibilities in this little quantum model here. I assume it's the background, or now I'm moving away from quantum physics and back to my analogy, which is I assume I'm moving and the background's standing still, or I assume the background's moving and I'm standing still, or I assume the other guy is moving and I'm standing still, or I assume the other guy's background is moving and he's moving. All the permutations, okay? So, one would say at a certain point that the reason cognitive functions work like they do, how you have some, not others, etc., is because what it foremost is a matter of prioritization. To say that you are an extroverted introvert is to say, I mean, extroverted intuitor or intuitive, an NE leading, a person who leads with NE is to say that you are engaged in this, changing open systems in the world. Changing open systems in the world. NI, you're engaged in ordering open systems in the world. So we'll call the exact purpose. The purpose of NE is to disrupt. The purpose of NI is to finalize. Notice these two things are not opposite. They're not opposites. They're not opposites. Disrupt, finalize. TI, you're going to change closed systems in yourself. TE, you're going to change closed systems in the world. Okay? SE, you're going to change objects in the world. SI, you're going to regulate objects in the world. FI, you're going to change agents in yourself, which is to say you're going to change yourself. FE, you're going to try to order the world. Okay, look, but these are rough, right? The change in order are rough. If you want to know exactly what it is that's happening, it's these other words. For NE, you're disrupting. For NI, you're finalizing. For TI, you're assessing. For TE, you're directing. For SE, you're releasing. For SI, you're regulating. FI, you're serving. And FE, you're getting input. So the opposite of FE is TI. The opposite of NE is SI. The opposite of NI is SE. And the opposite of TE is FI. Okay? So by this rule then, and I'm pretty sure this is, I haven't actually checked it. This is me not looking at the real world data, but it should match up such that, that SI, like NE and SI is 1-4 for us. It should be 1-4 for everybody in one way or the other. And if you have NI in the 1 slot, then you should definitely have SE in the 4 slot. If you've got TI in the 1 slot, then you should have FE in the 4 slot, and so forth. But why should it be that way? Well, it's very simple. Because it's prioritization. What that means specifically is when I approach something like this picture, let's get back to the picture now. I'm going to approach it by either approaching it like an expert intuitive. I'm going to approach it through a disruptive approach. And how does that look? Well, I'm going to, like, for example, this happened yesterday or the other day in class. I asked Alice, an INTP, a question. She gave me an answer. I asked Addie, an ENFP, a question, and she challenged the validity of the question. Okay? If you are NI, if you lead with NI, you will feel the truth of what happened here somehow. You'll have a single good sense of what's going on here, and it'll probably be not the most immediately obvious sense. You'll not conclude that this boy dropped the ice cream. You'll conclude that he's thrown the ice cream down because he was already crying, obviously, before he dropped the ice cream. He's got 3 tears down his face. So he must have been so sad that he couldn't even conceive of even eating this ice cream. So you probably have some intuitive knowledge of what it was that made him toss this ice cream aside. Or if you are leading with TI, you are looking to change closed systems. It's assessing the self. So you're going to be looking internally. You're going to probably be thinking about how you might, I don't know. I don't know what you do if you lead with TI with this. You might have to go back to you might have to go then to your second priority. See, this is the thing. This is why it's a matter of prioritization. Not every function works for every situation. So you have to have another second priority. If you go over TE and you were to encounter this person in real life, you'd want to structure things such that this boy doesn't end up losing ice creams and crying again. Your TI, I don't know what you do again. I'm not sure. SE, you probably think he, you know, well, there's a couple of things. You might be like, that's a terrible picture. You're a bad drawer. That's a bad drawing. If I were drawing that, I would have drawn it better than that, or something like that. That would be a very SE kind of response, I think. SI would say, what other, it might think, oh, that reminds me of this and that and the other thing. It might do that. I don't know. I'm not sure what it would say. If you lead with these things, I'd be curious to know what your reaction to this picture was before I started saying what these reactions are. FI, I have no idea. I guess you'd feel like sad or something. I don't know. FE, well, FE is gonna go think, well, who was there? Who let that boy cry like that? Where is that mother? And stuff like that. Probably, I'm guessing. Isn't that interesting? Interesting little test. If I'm right, then you should, when you face a piece of data, go through these in order. And the reason why we can't have both NE and NI is because that while they're not opposites, they are uh, um, aligned with the opposite side of time and space. So to finalize is to be done with making meaning. To disrupt is to unfinalize. So you can't approach life with both as a basic perspective. You can't say, I'm going to approach this problem with a basic perspective, and you don't get to choose. See, but the beautiful thing is, by metacognating, we can start to understand what the other perspectives might be like, but I don't believe that we can really feel what they're like at all because we've been practicing our entire goddamn lives this priority order. And we don't, to try to consciously get in there and disrupt the um, it would be like trying to train yourself to become left-handed. You can train yourself to use your left hand, but you can't train yourself to become left-handed. And um, cognitive functions are not things that you use like a hand is. They're things that you are, like right-handed or left-handed. See the difference, right? You are right-handed. I can train myself to use my left hand, but it doesn't change the fact that I am right-handed. Now, with NI, that's like saying I could train if I can train myself to use NI. It's like saying I can train myself to be left-handed. No, you can't actually. You can you can act like a left-hander. You can train yourself to act like a left-hander and always use your left hand, but you can't train yourself to actually be left-handed. So I don't think I'm capable of understanding really intuitively what intuitive intuition feels like. I don't think I'm capable of understanding what extrovert sensing really feels like, although I think that's the easiest one to get a handle on if it's not in your stack. Um, it's, it's world release. It's just like fusing with the universe. Your thoughts are gone. But I mean, it's 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 the opposite of not neuroticism. It's the opposite of me. Actually, I'm not that neurotic anymore. Actually, I think technically, according to what neurotic means, I am, but it normally has a negative connotation, but it's actually neutral or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, uh, yeah. So that's basically the gist of my little story here. Um, I was showing here, with the quantum thing, my original quantum notes, and how there's a certain um, there's only a certain number of factors in if you have one factor being a certain number of variables, I guess, or objects in the system. If you have one of them being not everything that's not in the system. So and then yeah. So I think that's pretty neato. I don't know what the point of it is exactly, but I think it's neato. So I hope you liked it too. I wish I had better slides, but I don't have patience for it right now. I'm gonna put this up right now as it is. No, not even any bumper or anything. Thanks for watching Talking with Famous People.